The documents are all public. I reported on it 8+ years ago, but last week the CIA has released them. The Senate's released its report. The CIA worked with the Communist Chinese, the Venezuelans, to steal the election with fake mail-in ballots in 2020. I mean, it's all incredible. So I hope this story breaking today isn't just a cover story or diversion from the giant fiasco with the FBI and DOJ doing a 180 on Epstein. Oh, he did kill himself, and there was no Johns, and was no blackmail, and was no human trafficking, even though his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, is in prison convicted of it, of human trafficking. So this is a big deal. And Trump has to know that, it goes right back to Comey and Brennan and what we saw on July 13th last year and the rest of it. So, and he's got that fake conviction in New York hanging over his head. He's got to get to the deep state. They're going to get him. And they're gunning for America. So it's the right thing to do. It's not vengeance. It's justice. But if you look at Netanyahu in Israel, it's always been heavily involved in blackmail and connected to Epstein, heavily with Mossad, as well as MI6 CIA. You see, as the globalist deep state kind of collapses, the Israeli deep state is coming in even stronger. And it's put a lot of leverage on Trump, but I think it's pretty clear that they're blackmailing him with something. I've never seen evidence Trump was involved in any of the other age girls with Epstein. But if it's a bunch of big government officials and the corporate chiefs, it's been reported, that could be so embarrassing for the country, Trump thinks it's going to plunge the stock market. So just from his perspective, that could be enough to make him kind of bend to Netanyahu's will. I'm speculating there, but we're just seeing total 180 in past things they said and did, and a PR disaster. So I hope this on the same day or day 2 of this big firestorm of the Epstein cover-up, I hope this isn't just some red meat to the Trump supporters that finally the deep state's in trouble. Because it's an existential threat to President Trump and America. He knows this has got to happen. And I've wanted to have confidence in Bongino and Patel and all the rest of them. I mean, for 160-something days, I held back criticizing him, saying, give him time, give him time. We continue to see stuff like this. So at this point, I'm very concerned. And I hate seeing the corporate media take out of context things I've said on Trump and say, I've turned on Trump and it's all bad and I'm done with him. No. I'm just extremely concerned. I mean, if the financial security issues and the CIA was involved in this stuff as well, they were just going to deep six it for the betterment of the country, which I don't agree with. It's so damning. It could hurt confidence in the nation itself. I know that argument. Then you just shut up. You don't have 3 months ago or 2 months ago, Bongino and Patel doing this tour about, oh no, Butler shooter acted alone, and oh no, Epstein killed himself, and oh no, there's nothing going on here, and then do this again, even bigger. It's a freaking disaster. So if the Trump admin's mad at me for complaining about this, or if Trump is, I don't care. Because I want the good agenda of saving the country and having world peace and securing the border and stopping all the crime explosion. I mean, we're under attack by this. I want to support Trump's agenda, that overall support. And behavior like this is what undermines the confidence that the base has. And the Trump administration right now is its own worst enemy. So I will not apologize for being absolutely disgusted. And again, we're not leftist here. We created the populist movement for Trump. He's done a lot of great stuff, has a lot of courage. But we're the wave he rode in on. And there's populist movements all over the world. So we don't rise and fall with Trump. We need him.
This is my book, The Austrian-Criminal-System and the Palm House Scandal, which I wrote about a very bizarre story we lived through in 2022. I'm sorry I have to read from papers. I'm not a vlogger or what you call it. So, let me explain why I claim the Austrian government is trying to make me disappear and even kill me. In 2022, I accidentally witnessed an Epstein-Diddy-style scandal going on in Austria. I really didn't know much about these cases in 2022, but research after living through the Palm House scandal shocked me. And trust me, this case they can't blame on Trump. So I wonder what is going on, because there are a lot of similar cases, like for example the Franklin case, the Dutroux case, the pink ballots, and many more, the Haiti sex scandal, the UN sex scandal. The list goes on. In all of these cases worldwide, they are being covered up for some reason. The similarities, they are scary. When the witnesses describe worldwide is almost the same. The way these people operate.
News about the Epstein case.
Turns out there is no client list, like, at all.
Seriously, they sure fooled me. Shapiro-Stein, take it away.
At Epstein Island, it turns out all of the people that were trafficked here just didn't exist. After all, the dude isn't even alive to tell us anymore. Jenny, back to you.
We're here outside of that dude's wife's prison holding the first person ever to be convicted of trafficking to nobody. I'm here with Ghislaine, serving 20 years for having imaginary friends, thousands of Epstein victims, but zero clients. How are you?
I 100% deserve this.
True. Where's the client list?
Israel is our greatest ally. What do you think of the verdict? How about ask how much I got paid? No other comments. What do you think of this? Sometimes you have to just let that long arm of the law all the way into the back of your colon and just let it marinate, you know? What the heck?
Sounds like we could use another Luigi, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. It's almost like the so-called Semites run the court systems and media or something.
Shut it down. My grandparents were in the pizza cost. You know that. How many times do I have to tell you? Now, back to the goy slop.
Sorry, Shapiro-Stein. Won't happen again. In other news, we're down the street from where your grandparents got pizza costed. Jackie goes live from inside Elephantis' hub. We're here at Comet Pizza. Did you hear about the 6 million pizzas?
I heard they only did 271,000. But anyways, you want to see my kill room?
It's true. Anyone can search the archive for CYM Corporation's files and find out everything.
Cut. Okay, we cut that in post-production. Jenny, don't say anything antiseptic.
If only everyone saw Hillary's emails, people would understand the whole adrenochrome issue is real.
Not now. They're not ready for that. Just give them the Epstein thing and shut them down.
Right, John?
You're not wrong about that Hillary thing. Anyways, if you're still not following Jake GTV yet, you're legally retarded.
And how the cases always are covered up and the victims silenced too. I want to share the Palmer House scandal and also raise awareness for these cases and the forgotten victims. 29 September 2022, the Austrian government had me abducted while with a ridiculous fake trial without any evidence or victim, and with a strange media circus to defame me. Now, the Austrian government, who tried to lock me up 15 years innocently with a very crooked trial, wants to pretend it was an accident. They don't want to talk anymore about this case and try to forget all about it. A crazy woman had filed false charges against her ex. Justice just did their job. This is what they claim. But that isn't the true story, or at least forgets to address the subject of the real story. The dark rabbit hole they were trying to cover up with my false arrest and witch trials. Let me explain what really was going on and where the judges committed undisputed, serious crimes in covering up the Palmer House scandal with my illegal abduction. Let's dive in and let me explain you the Palmer House scandal. An ex-Yugo-Austrian gang were trafficking young Eastern European women and narcotics to Austrian brothels like Palmer House and had a vast network of local and Austrian businesses abetting in these crimes. The girls were forced to pay back a never-ending debt to their traffickers. This they had to do with prostitution and attending 6 satanic and Diddy-style sex parties, which the criminals then recorded with professionally installed hidden cameras. And the criminals later then blackmailed the involved men into submission for votes on company boards, local legislation, money, and much more. This bizarre story was told by one of the girls, claiming all throughout 2022 that she was victim of these crimes and one of the girls living through this in brothel Palmer House. During the COVID pandemic, I had met her in Hungary. I was blocked during the lockdowns after a holiday, and she claimed to be in holiday because her Austrian work was closed because of the lockdowns also. Now, our affair ended in November 2021, after she revealed she was working in prostitution, which she had lied about, and her pimps were making problems that she had to return to the brothel. The exact reason is very interesting. She wanted to run away with me and that I abandoned my family, because her pimps, who trafficked her since her 16th in a very sick way, wanted she continue to work in Palma House, and she didn't want this. Her pimps, who had learned of our affair, had threatened this woman to return to Palma House or her family would become problems, and me too. They sent, following these conversations, pictures of me and this woman to my wife. This was for me the drop, and I abandoned her. I went to Belgium and tried to save my marriage. This woman had nowhere to go and returned to Palma House. But she didn't stop calling me, my wife and my family, and begging we could listen to her story and try to help her, because the Austrian authorities wouldn't help, she claimed. We recorded all the conversations and evidence she sent and tried several times to file charges over this against the woman for stalking and these people doing this to her. The stories this woman was telling were very bizarre and crazy, and at first we had trouble believing them. But she started sending evidence, pictures, videos, conversations with other girls confirming, documents, names of people being blackmailed, all kinds of evidence and how these people operated, names and evidence against the perpetrators, and also recordings. Nobody in 3 countries wanted to investigate until Augustus 2012, when the situation got totally out of control, when armed gangsters came to Hungary and violently tried to obtain our phones where she had sent the evidence. Also, on June 24, 2022, this woman had attempted to flee from this gang and tried to press charges against these people in Belgium, which was refused, and she got sent to an Austrian police station where one of the policemen were calling with one of the pimps next to them, telling everything was okay. After we pressed finally charges against these gangsters on 18, 23 and 24 Augustus 2022, and handed finally all this evidence to the Austrian and Hungarian authorities, they started an investigation. First into the Hungarian police officers who kept silent about this case for so long and tried to cover it up, and their ties with the crooks. But the police was shocked about the Palma House evidence. The case didn't end here, because although police assured us these horrors would soon end and the criminals would be put in jail, the criminals had switched after their failed and recorded attempts to violently obtain our phones with the evidence to phone harassment and threatening us by phone. They tried to intimidate us to withdraw the testimonies and accusations against them, or they would harm me or my children. Also, they made claims that they had powerful friends who could make me disappear, and all these threats were recorded and also handed over to the police for the investigation. On 2 and 8 September 2022, 3 weeks before my accidental arrest, this woman again fled Palma House and desperately tried to warn me. This meeting was allowed by the Hungarian and Austrian police, who wanted this meeting to be recorded as evidence trying to make clarity in this bizarre and crazy case. This woman, she claimed in these meetings that her pimps had forced her to make false allegations against me for rape and abduction, and they were plotting together with an NGO and crooked judges to make me disappear. They also wanted to sabotage the Palma House investigations, which threatened to expose their entire network. This also was all recorded and handed over to Hungarian and Austrian police, who even laughed with these crazy claims and told us they were impossible. They said in Europe such corruption would be impossible. There were a lot of laws preventing such crimes. This claimed the police, who claimed that these were just tactics these gangsters used to intimidate witnesses to withdraw testimonies. I didn't need to worry. Now 3 weeks later, these crimes really happened, and alongside a big fake media circus trying to defame me, and the Austrian judges, they would clearly also have known I was innocent when they tried to destroy the lives of me and my family. All because they are trying to cover up the crimes of the Palma House affair. I got arrested by Austrian bounty hunters and a Hungarian SWAT team from another county. A big media circus was waiting for my homecoming and spreading lies. And these lies, they could only come from the criminals, because they were totally false. Accidentally, they forget also the part of a fair trial and that you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. I was interrogated by police for 2 months. I didn't get a lawyer, and when I finally get a lawyer after my consulate was pressuring the Austrian authorities what was going on because they weren't even allowed to talk with me, she wasn't allowed to speak. I wasn't allowed to speak. I wasn't allowed to show evidence or to add evidence to the investigation. I wasn't allowed to see the case against me, and the judges, they were committing openly perjury about the Palma House investigation, where the evidence proved I was totally innocent. The judges who committed perjury, tampered and destroyed evidence of my innocence, and ignored COVID tracking data which proved that the allegations were impossible, lied about the victim, and much more. Now these all were apparently accidents. While I was locked in this Austrian dungeon, I also wasn't allowed to contact my consulate, and then, no, I was 37, father of 3, and had never had a criminal record. I was abducted and thrown in a dungeon, and all of the officers speaking out against this atrocity got silenced by their superiors into submission. Now this sounds a lot like 1945 Germany, the Nuremberg trials, where they also claimed I was just doing my job. Now they aren't allowed to discuss it anymore with me. Also, other cases against these criminals were mysteriously dropped by the same judges. Brothel Palma House never got raided. It got closed and sold and completely renovated twice since October 2022, when I was locked up in prison and the case mysteriously got dropped. The same judges who dropped the case and this investigation, they claimed there was a lack of evidence. The case against me was also dropped by lack of evidence. Now I don't agree with this sentence here, because in this case there is a lot of evidence that I was 200% innocent. Only apparently the judges seem to lose, ignore, destroy and lie over this evidence, which clearly was in their possession. But it of course also didn't only prove my innocence, but it pointed to the crimes happening in Palma House, which they rather would shut up about. Also the geo-tracking data and the SIS2 information, the Schengen Information System, information confirmed my innocence, which proved the allegations were impossible, and normally a judge or a police officer is obliged to check this data in any given case. Also, dozens of witnesses, they never got interrogated by the judges. And the woman herself, she was calling, trying to explain that she was forced by her pimps to make false allegations, that I was innocent, didn't prevent them from trying to lock me up innocently for 15 years. And she declared this in official statements before the police even sent an arrest warrant. Dus the police in Graz, they had interrogated criminals and also this woman where she admitted that she had made false allegations because of these pimps, and the judges ignored this and 2 days later signed an arrest warrant to have me arrested for a case without any evidence, where a woman of a strange NGO made fake psychological report as evidence, which is also illegal, to try and have me arrested. My children, they are traumatized and they don't understand what is justice and police. They always were under the impression that they were there to catch criminals and to protect the people. But seeing what happened in this case, I really have troubles explaining to my children what is going on and for who police and justice in Austria apparently are working. Because this case points to one thing: they are openly working together with these human traffickers. These human traffickers threatened to have me abducted, they threatened that they were going to use crooked judges, and trust me, all the mistakes these judges made, they really are questioning about the integrity of these judges. And now also, since we are already 3 years asking investigation into this case, 2 times I'm sued from Austria after they refuse to investigate this case, but they do have a problem that I post the evidence online, because this was violating the privacy of the criminals at first, and now it's hurting their feelings. So they are trying to sue me to keep silent over being abducted, illegally locked in a dungeon, and their plot failing to make me disappear. So I have to be happy and shut up about all the crimes they had done to me and my family. We want justice and we want all damage repaired. I think this is real easy and I want my name completely cleared. Thank you for listening and I hope you enjoy reading my book.
Only evidence, because the autopsy report of the identified victim confirms, albeit indirectly, that she was pregnant. The investigators describe what the house looked like where Chloe probably gave birth and died, and where Regina had previously been, according to her own statement. On the right-hand side was a kind of artificial pond, but not a natural pond. It was a rectangular basin. There were bricks there. That caught my eye. There was nothing else there. Bricks. Yes, a square thing. A kind of basin with a small fountain. The investigators follow X1's clues and find a house in the countryside near Ghent that matches the description. During the 6th interrogation, X1 struggles to tell investigator Patrick de Barts that it is common for victims of sexual abuse to die. Ms. Loof often fell silent, and this silence could sometimes last for an hour or an hour and a half. Then we were not allowed to ask any questions, but had to let her come to her. One of the psychologists commissioned by the Ministry of Justice, who accompanied her during 8 interrogations, explained how difficult these interrogations must have been for her, because they forced her to relive the abuse and those she had witnessed. She suffered terribly from it and had also been forced to keep quiet since early childhood. That's why she was convinced that she should never talk about the abuse. Describing buildings was the easiest thing for me to do because even back then, I often looked around me as a survival strategy during the abuse. Just like other people count sheep to fall asleep, it was a way for me to numb myself. I looked at the color of the curtains, what the carpet looked like, what photos were on the wall, and so on. That was the easiest, least intimate part that I could talk about. But as soon as it came to the abuse itself, who the perpetrators were, what they looked like, it became extremely difficult for me.
Also, everyone's got to remember that there were over 200 victims, many more actually, but these are the ones with evidence, the ones who were involved in the lawsuit. I would like to know where the other 200 victims are. You know, it's very, very frightening when girls are going missing as well. Like, I mean, for God's sake, sorry to say, but Virginia Gifford was found dead. Carolyn Adriano, who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell, was found dead. Ruslana, there are many. There are at least 7 Epstein victims that have been found dead so far. I'm too frightened to even leave my house, to be honest. And I'm sure that the victims in America are even more frightened. For me, I live in Africa, so it's not as dangerous for me, you know, as other people speaking out against the FBI and the CIA, because they're all involved. Epstein told me he worked with the CIA. The FBI tried to get me there to interview me. They only wanted to interview me in person. They would not interview me over Zoom. They organized emergency visas for my son and I. They were
it's a historic thing that's happening. But that said, I'm not breaking my integrity or my morals or what I stand for nobody. Like Tony Montana says, you only got 2 things in this world, your word and your balls, and I ain't breaking either for nobody. He also says, no women, no kids. That's where I stand. All's fair in love and war except messing with women and kids, and I won't be part of it. That means covering up another group that did it for political power. That makes us accessories after the fact, and I ain't doing it. I'd rather die first. Follow me on the next Real Show, infowars.com/show. Thank you all. God bless. Pray for President Trump. Pray for America. Pray for peace. And I'll see you on the front lines of the info war.